Hi everybody, it's Mary Ellen from Create With Me, and I'm standing outside of my studio, the Creativity Nest. I've had so many people ask me for a studio walkthrough, but honestly, it's always so cluttered. But Sunday, I had a shower, wedding shower here for my son and future beautiful daughter-in-law, and so it's kind of in better shape. So I'm going to show you the ins and outs of my studio and some of my reality checks, because I know that you're just like me and sometimes you just have things, creative minds are messy. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to turn the camera around. The first thing I want to point out is, I don't know if you can see this or not, but this was a little surprise for my husband as he built the ramp. We did the ramp, handicap accessible ramp, because we have a lot of people who need it, and honestly I need it right now. So he had surprised me with putting very subtly the nest into my ramp, and I thought that was really nice. So I just wanted to show you that. Normally it's not winter and there's flowers and beautiful plants hanging everywhere, but you know what, this was the time that worked. So come on into my studio. We're gonna start out in the classroom. So I built the room with a lot of things in mind. So when you came in, you would go right into the classroom. This is my classroom. I have it set up. I can accommodate comfortably about 24, and I can expand all these tables to 8 foot and accommodate more. But right now, 24 is a really comfortable number. So if we do bingo, I usually max out at 24. So let's start here with what I call Command Central. This is what where I keep all my classroom supplies. I keep my catalogs and order forms. And then down in these cabinets, I have all my classroom supplies, my pens, my extra adhesives and everything like that. I'll give you a sneak peek into one here. I've got my trash cans and my cleaners and my wet ones that I put out, and I always put out hand sanitizer for everybody, so we keep everybody healthy. Then I like to have samples always, so I usually have samples up here that people can take pictures of and be inspired by. I just do a lot of swaps with other groups, and these are some of their cards along with some of my own, so that you can see them. I have 2 card racks in here. One is right here, a small one that I do sell cards to my customers. If they're looking for something specific that they just don't have in their stash, they can go ahead and buy it. I have this corner cabinet that's usually open for display of extra items. And then my other card rack, I'm going to move slowly, is over here. And that's my large card rack full of cards, and people can go either place. We have different cards for different occasions, and on each stand is a little bit different. Then I have this large TV, and people say, why do you have this 80-inch TV in here? But this is actually a teaching tool. So when I teach classes, I'll bring my camera over here and I cast to that, so that people don't have to gather around me. They can just look up at the TV, this large TV, and see exactly what I'm doing. And they can stay in their seat. And I change this room around depending on what class I have. It's always evolving. I'm always changing it. So while we're over here, I want to show you my coffee bar. This is just a small coffee bar. I've got cups. We do a coffee class every other Friday. I have an ice maker and a couple coffee pots, a microwave there, and then cups, and so people can help themselves to coffee at their convenience. There's always water in the cooler, the refrigerator, they know they can get that, and so that's there. I want to point out this red barnwood. When we were doing this room, my husband grew up in the country, and he called his cousins and he said, do you have any corn cribs or barns that's coming down? And they said, actually we do. So we went down and looked at it, and it was funny because the wood looked gray on the barn, and then he brought it home and it was red, and I thought, oh my gosh. But you know, we put it up here and we used it for the barn doors here, and then you'll see a little in the bathroom. And I think it just made the perfect accent in here. I'm really loving it. So I have a chalkboard wall that sometimes I've got my Wi-Fi password on there, and then sometimes I'll put classes. Sometimes I have little ones here. I have a cabinet behind me that is full of chalk and different things for the little ones. They can go ahead and scroll around and write as much as they want. I love it. So this door here is a closet. I'm not going to open that, but that is a big storage unit. And then here's the bathroom that has the wall of wood that I have samples in here too. It's not uncommon to find 2 or 3 people in here taking pictures, and I say, what are you doing in the bathroom together? And they'll say, oh, well, we're taking pictures. So there's my small restroom. So now I want to show you the working studio part of the creativity nest. And this is, I have adhesives that I can cash and carry. I have those for sale for my customers, and then I have extra ink pads here if anybody needs one, or if I need multiples for class. I always have a basket that's ready for pickups. If people have orders to pick up, or they have kits to pick up, I put them in the basket so that if they come, they know where to find them. This is my e-cutting station. We put this counter extra wide so that if we had to lay out t-shirts or anything, because my daughter does final, and I've got a scan and cut and a Cameo. And then my newest purchase is this Epson printer that I've got for sublimation. I just started using it. I'm really enjoying it. Probably won't be a big craft for me, but it is nice to personalize mugs or cups or shirts. And then I've got a heat press that the girls use. So we keep extra t-shirts and kits, and we do some tea parties in here. So we've got teapots and such inside. I'll just show you one. I think this one's got the teapots in it. So we've got extra teapots and teacups that we will pull out for different events. So that's always really nice. When I had the cabinet maker who's local here, he just lives a couple miles from me, custom do these cabinets. I put a trash can right here by the door so that when people leave, if they have trash, they can put it in there. These 2 cabinets I got from a friend. They were from an old drugstore, and the color was exactly what I was doing here in the nest, so I wanted to keep those. And then I had the cabinet maker mimic them in the cabinets in between. So that's why this wall is a little bit eclectic, but I kind of love it. Now we go over to my computer area. I've got a big cabinet here that I store all my extra cards, all my kits, all my a lot of my packaging supplies are in there. And then this is my computer area, and I've got a printer, kind of a workhorse printer. I love it. I only have to put ink in it maybe once a year. It's quite expensive ink, but it lasts and lasts. I don't have to keep messing with it. So I have a light box here that I use for my cards. My daughter also uses it for her 3D. She has 3D printer that she does, so she's been using it for her models, so that's why it's set up like that. But this is really nice to take my photographs in. I don't always use it because I'll show you kind of the way we set up our light and stuff that we didn't really need it. Then I've got another set of ink pads here. I've got about 4 sets because I do large classes. I need multiples, and I keep those here. So here's my printing center. I have 2 Dymo label printers. One is for a 4x6 label for shipping, and then one is for different size labels I keep in there for name tags, or when I label my kits and such like that. Up here I keep all my shipping supplies, all my packaging, all my bubble wrap is all there, so it's all handy. Everything can stay right here. I've got my Kanban board. I don't know if you are familiar with the Kanban board, but you could look it up. This has been a lifesaver for me. I keep all my projects on there on Post-it notes. I can move them from to do, in progress, and done. This is something that keeps me on track, and I really love it. So we'll look quickly. My daughter's desk is here. This is her 3D printer. Her 3D, I think that's her hardener, and then this is full of alcohol that you dip your projects in to clean them. I don't know a lot about it, but that is here in the studio. This is our peninsula. We share it. She has her stuff here. She sews. She's got her sewing machine down below with her sewing supplies, and then all her bits and pieces. And then I've got my extra stamp sets here if I'm working at the peninsula. This is my recording. So if you'll see me recording, I'm going to show you what you'll see. So if you wonder, like, where am I sitting when I'm doing Teach Me Tuesday or ME's 3Cs, I'm sitting there in the chair in the peninsula with that background behind me. Let's take a look a little bit. I've got an Arkon stand. If you're interested in any of these things, let me know. I can post it into the comment section what I have and where I got it. I also keep this light. Mostly it's because of the clock that's on it, but I do turn it on once in a while if the light is not good, and that gives me just a little bit of extra light on my recording platform there. So this is my paper cutter that I use. I can cut about a pack of paper at a time, which is very helpful when you're doing a lot of classes. I really enjoy having that. I still use my paper trimmer every day for small pieces, but this is when I'm cutting cardstock in half or cutting a little bit smaller pieces, I can cut them all at once and have them. This is my die cutting area. I've got my little mini boho there, and I usually have a big machine, but like I said, we just had a shower, and so everything is cleaned up and put away. And then I've got an electric die cutting machine that I use just for classes. So while we're over here, I'm going to show you a couple drawers. So I'll keep, people always wonder how you organize things. So I have mine labeled. These are all my envelopes and extras. I've got my clear envelopes and my white envelopes, and then my very vanilla, and then extra bits and pieces in here. No, nothing is super clean, but I do have it labeled, so it's somewhat organized. Yes, it says extras, and that is just extra cutters and things that I use for class. This is my I do a lot of, well, no, I don't do as much as I should, but if I'm going to send a card, this has got my postage in it, little disorganized, my labels for my envelopes, and then I've got cards that I can mail out to people. So I try to keep that in case I just have to mail out a card. And then I've got a drawer. There's not too much in this actually now because I've kind of reorganized it, but this is extra adhesives that I keep in stock, dimensionals, glue dots, tear and tape, adhesive sheets, and strips, anything that I might use. So let's take a look at my actual studio. And I want to talk to you a little bit about why I have it set up the way I do. Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, so I love to have everything at my fingertips. And that's the reason that I designed this little cubby here, is so that I could just have everything at my fingertips. I wouldn't have to get up and walk around. Well, currently that's an issue because I can't walk around because I'm getting my hip replaced. So this has come in really handy. I started with this calyx unit from IKEA, and then I have Stampin' storage for all my 12x12 there in the second row from the top. And then I've got my 8.5x11 handy. And then I store all my dies in these little art bin boxes. This works really well for me. I've got them all labeled, and then I can just pull them out, and they're all on magnetic sheets. I love that. Then I've got just some knickknacks. I have a lot of memorabilia from different trips, Italy and Hawaii and Alaska. And so I had my cabinet maker make this. I actually designed it with tape on an 8-foot table with little cubbies, and I stood up and took a picture of it, and he created this. And I couldn't be more thrilled with having this up above my studio, and it's just a nice memory maker. I try to change it out periodically. These are gifts that my friends have given me, and memories and such. So now here's where the reality comes in. I could have cleaned this all up, but this is the way I work. Okay, so I've got my extra white pieces of paper here, my scrap that I grabbed from. I've got projects that are in progress here. I've got all my tools and bits and pieces, my punches, my ribbon, my inks, my blends, my markers and ink pads, all handy so that I have them when I'm ready to create. And then, of course, I've got a little TV there. It's not so little, but it's nice sometimes to just have some background noise. I'm going to show you a couple drawers. This is basics. This is my one that's handy with extra adhesives. The important stuff right there, that's the important stuff. Just bits and pieces. But then I keep my current adhesives and some of my trinkets in this drawer. I have dividers in every drawer. So every drawer you see here has dividers. And then lastly, one that's of interest to a lot of people is, where do you keep your scrap? I keep my scrap in this file cabinet here, all labeled by color. So these are all bits and pieces. I can go into here first and pull out pieces of card scrap when I'm designing. And then I keep all my embellishments here in this little case, and I kind of have them sorted. And then there's extra cello bags back there. So this is a pretty deep drawer. I kind of designed it that way. This cabinet, this countertop was designed to be deep so that I could have this on here and still be able to use my cutter. One thing I wanted to make sure I showed you is I had this little shelf built underneath here. This is one of my favorite things. So those things that sometimes get lost when you're designing your catalogs, I like to always have my catalogs. And sometimes when I'm designing and I've got kind of a mess here, my catalogs get lost. The other thing is my cutter. I wanted a place for my cutter, so I would always know where my cutter was and my catalogs were. So I had them make me this little slide out shelf, and it's come in really, really handy. Over on this side, I want to show you, I told you I have everything organized in boxes, so don't freak out. But that is all my clear blocks, and that's not even all of them. I have some that are, you'll see up on my desk, but this is where I keep them, and I try to keep them in there organized, because if I don't, then I just get lost. So I've got some of my basics up here, clear blocks. Extras just means extra things. I have my embossing supplies down there. I keep all my stamparatuses in this drawer. And then this one's not labeled, but this has got all my current full packs of embellishments. So when I don't like to, I try to buy things either with hostess benefits or different things. And so that way, when I run out or I'm getting low or I need it for class, I can just come in here, grab it, and I know I have it. So it might look excessive, but for the amount of classes I do, it kind of comes in handy. I keep my labeler down here. This has got some retired embellishments that I know that I can give as gifts. And then I keep my labeler. I've got a couple labelers in there. But those are all retired embellishments. I forgot those were in there. And then down here, I'm just going to use my foot because it's hard for me to bend over. And I keep all my scoreboards for class. For my own use, and then for class, I keep those in that drawer there. You'll see a little bit of tape right here, this tape right here. Everything below it is current stamp sets. Everything above it is retired stamp sets. I do have customers that will come over here looking for something specific, and all the stamps that are up here are all labeled with a price, and they are welcome to purchase those at any time. So and then they go in my BOGO sale each year, which is probably be the end of April or the 1st of May before the new catalog comes out, or right at the same time. So that's the studio. This studio, in case you were wondering, is about 1,200 square feet. It kind of has evolved. I used to stamp in the basement in the cave, but then my husband said we need to move you upstairs. So you'll notice the lights on the ceiling. We did talk to a lighting expert, and I told them they needed to be cool lights, and it needed to be bright in here. And I told you I would tell you a little bit about, let me step back here and turn around, about where I take pictures mostly is really right here on the floor. And you'll see why. There's no light above it. There's no shadowing, and there's direct light out of there. And I really get my best pictures if I sit at my desk and drop my card onto the floor, and then I can take a picture there. So if you ever see this background, it's just my floor. But I have found that is the best natural light in this whole room, because for some reason, and I'm glad we did not put any lights up there. We've got plenty of lights onto the desk and plenty of lights here onto the counter where I'm working. And then we've of course got lights above the peninsula and the computer, but we did not put any there, and that worked out perfectly because there's no shadows. So that's just a little tour of my studio. People have asked me, and I've never felt comfortable because it's usually pretty cluttered. And you'll probably say, well, it still is cluttered on me, but this is actually clean for me. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, post them in the comments and I will be happy to answer them for you. So you guys have a great day. Thank you for coming.